Hi everyone and good evening. Welcome to this webinar session. Before we begin with this webinar session, I just want to allow those of you who have just tuned in to kind of sort out any sort of technical difficulties that you might have sort of experienced. So I know some of you were kind of waiting for this live stream session to start. And sometimes the audio or the video might not come through as intended. I might be speaking and you might not be able to hear me, and vice versa. You might be able to hear me, but you might not be able to see no pictures. So if that's the case for you, what I'd recommend is if you just give your browser page a quick refresh, hopefully everything should all kind of kick into gear for you. If you're viewing this on a laptop or a computer, if you're viewing this on a mobile device, then what I'd recommend is if you come out of your browser page that you're viewing this on currently, or if you come out of the YouTube app, if it's opened up in there, and then if you reopen things back up, hopefully everything should be working for you. Now, if you can hear and see me clearly, that's great news. What I'd recommend, if you haven't yet done so already, is feel free to grab yourself a pen and paper just to jot down some notes. If you're a little bit kind of digital minded like me, you might not kind of use pen and paper that often anymore. So if that's the case, feel free to kind of use whichever kind of note-taking device that you have to hand, such as maybe a smartphone or a tablet there as well. And another thing which I'd recommend to you, if you haven't yet done so already, is I'd recommend that you sign into your YouTube channel. So there's a big sign in button on the top right of your screen. I believe it's a blue button. And if you sign into your YouTube account, what that then allows you access to is the live chat functionality on the bottom right of your screen. So you might have seen a couple of messages scroll up your screen. Now this functionality allows you to ask me questions throughout the course of this webinar session, and it allows you to kind of drop in your comments and thoughts as we go along the course of this webinar session, so we can kind of turn this webinar into more of a conversation. I know we're all kind of distantly apart at the moment, so it's all kind of, everything's all virtual, but I want to try and make this as kind of a more of a community feel more than anything else. So if you've got any sort of questions, feel free to make the most of the live chat facility for that. Okay, so for those of you who might have experienced kind of technical difficulty in viewing this webinar stream, I hope everything's all been ironed out for you. So without further ado, welcome to this Google Digital Garage webinar session, all about how you can start an online shop, which is delivered in partnership today with Irish Black Owned. My name is Rikesh and I'm going to be your webinar host, taking you through this session, which is going to last for approximately 1 hour. So a little bit about me, first and foremost, is I am a trainer for Google's digital skills program, Google Digital Garage. I'm also a lawyer turned digital marketer. Try and work that one out. It's a little bit of a career change, to say the least. So what I now do is I help businesses within the legal industry, predominantly law firms, to help them to either create and or grow their online presence in order for them to attract new customers and clients of their own as well, especially with kind of the internet being the way it is, and the volume of people who are using the internet as well. And that's probably one of the reasons that you might have tuned in for this webinar session on how to start an online shop, because there's clearly kind of an audience who are kind of buying online. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's purchased way too many things over the last few weeks or so, or over the past year anyway as well. So that's a little bit about me and what I do here as well. So apart from myself, I'm actually joined on this webinar session by my colleague, and that's my colleague called Priya. Now, Priya is a fellow Google Digital Garage trainer, and also Priya is going to be our chat moderator for this webinar session. So you won't see Priya on screen, but you will see Priya in the live chat. And the reason why I'm kind of pointing down here is the live chat is should be on the bottom right of your screen. So you might have sort of seen some messages that kind of scroll up. Now, if you hover your mouse over onto the onto the live chat section, if it's grayed out for you, that simply means that you need to just sign into your YouTube account. So once you've signed into your YouTube account, you can drop your comments, drop in your thoughts as we go along the course of this webinar session. And especially when it comes to questions, I always kind of say no question is a silly question, unless it really is a silly question. But if you've got a question in mind, then don't be kind of hesitant to ask it, because the chances are there might be somebody else who's tuning in to this webinar session who might have the same sort of question, but might be a little bit kind of shy to ask it. But what I'd say is if one of you asks that question, it might benefit both of you in that respect. Now, I can't guarantee that I'll be able to provide the answers to everything, but I will give it my very best. Now, if I don't know the answer, I'll probably hold my hands up and say, I don't know the answer. And I might just have to kind of say, you might need to Google it, ironically, there as well. But feel free to kind of make the most of the live chat facility. So with that in mind, we are excited to be delivering this webinar in partnership with Irish Black Owned today. And we welcome all the guests that they've invited to join this Google Digital Garage training. I'll now read out a short introduction on behalf of Irish Black Owned before we start. So Irish Black Owned is a Black owned organisation that aims to train, empower and connect Black owned businesses in Ireland to become lucrative, scalable, mainstream businesses, contributing to the Irish economy and owning assets. If you're interested in knowing more, you can send an email to info@irishblackowned.com. Now, the session that we're running today is all about how you can start an online shop. Now, we also run other Google Digital Garage webinars on other kind of topics, which can kind of facilitate and help your marketing journey and kind of improve your online presence in general as well. So if you have a look down below, there's a kind of video description box. You'll see that there's a website link that links you to the Google Digital Garage Ireland website. So you can actually book onto further webinars. So you can have a look at the upcoming schedule and see which webinars are coming up and book yourself onto those sessions as well. In the similar way that you actually booked yourself onto this webinar session as well, because all Google Digital Garage webinar sessions that are running are going to be provided to you at no cost, in the same way that this session is provided to you at no cost as well. So feel free to check that out. And when you are on the Google Digital Garage website, also have a look at the online courses tab. So there's a tab called online courses. Now, if you click onto that, you'll see lots of different Google Digital Garage courses that you can actually complete. So these are courses which are provided by Google, which are available to you at no cost. So you can actually complete some of these courses on various topics at your leisure. So maybe if you want to dedicate an hour a week or an hour a weekday, if you can kind of take things at your own pace. Now, there's a course that I want to discuss, which is probably a course that I'd probably recommend probably to the vast majority of you, especially because the vast majority of you will likely be tuned in to understand how to start an online shop. So you either have a business currently and you're looking to kind of translate that into an online sense, or you are looking to set up a business as well. So there's a fantastic course called the Fundamentals of Digital Marketing course, which coincidentally just happens to be the first course that appears on the online courses page. And you'll also be able to locate that in the certification tab. So this course actually gives you a great kind of holistic overview as to how the world of digital marketing works, i.e. how do businesses create and build a presence online. So how can they attract customers online? What sort of processes do they go through, and what sort of tools can they incorporate as well? So that will be really beneficial to you. And again, you can complete that at your own leisure. And as an added bonus of this particular course, once you've completed the Fundamentals of Digital Marketing course, you will actually receive a certificate, which is again at no cost to you. And this will be kind of a PDF certificate that you receive from Google to say that Rikesh has completed the Fundamentals of Digital Marketing course, or Priya has completed the Fundamentals of Digital Marketing course. Now, that might be something that's relevant for a CV or a LinkedIn profile, especially if it's kind of relevant to your industry as well. So feel free to kind of have a bit of an exploration on the Google Digital Garage website in general, and especially have a look at kind of the upcoming webinars, and have a look at some of the online courses, and especially that Fundamentals of Digital Marketing course as well. But without further ado, we're actually going to be looking at what we're going to be covering throughout the course of this session, which is all about how to start an online shop. So what we're going to be covering throughout the course of this session is we're first going to have a brief look at what the e-commerce market is like in Ireland, because that's important to understand how the land lies in the space that we're based and living in, and what kind of opportunities can be born from that as well. We'll then have a look at starting our journey of creating and building an online shop. So we'll be actually starting off by researching our market. And you might have heard that saying, fail to plan, plan to fail. So it's important to do your research and do your homework before you actually set up your online shop. We'll then have a look at setting up the online shop itself. So we'll explore some of the platforms that you can consider to use when you're creating your online shop as well. And then we'll kind of look at kind of the after launch steps that you can take, because it's all good and well having an online shop, but it's pretty pointless if nobody's visiting it. So we'll have a look at ways in which you can market and promote your shop as well online. And then we'll finish off by looking at ways in which you can kind of measure to see how well your shop is performing. Because that's important to understand, because you never want to kind of just have a set and forget kind of approach when it comes to your online shop. You always want to be continually making improvements and adjustments so that you can provide the best customer experience to the people that buy from you, essentially, or potentially will buy from you as well. So let's have a look at the landscape of e-commerce in Ireland. So what is e-commerce first and foremost? Well, e-commerce, you can see it here, is the buying and selling of goods or services using the internet. So there's usually kind of a misconception, I guess, with that e-commerce is just kind of referred to as kind of the sale of physical products online, but it's any kind of transactional based activity. So if there's kind of a commercial transaction involved where there's kind of an exchange of money, then that is something that would fall under the remit of e-commerce. And e-commerce has been around for a long time. I know kind of the first e-commerce transaction happened when somebody purchased a CD back in like 1994. I think I was only about 5 years old then as well. So e-commerce has been around for a long time, and it's something which many of us have kind of been accustomed to, because we're all kind of, or the vast majority of us now are kind of online shoppers in general as well. So in Ireland itself, Ireland's kind of one of the powerhouses when it comes to e-commerce in Ireland, in that it is the 44th largest global market. So last year in 2019, the revenue from e-commerce in Ireland, so online sales essentially, was a revenue of 2.7 billion euros, which is incredible, staggering numbers there. And essentially it's only 44th, so you can imagine the numbers kind of escalating higher and higher up as well. And I guess even kind of in this year, 2020, that kind of position of 44th might have kind of increased higher up as well. You can also see that 72% of the Irish population have bought at least one product in the period of 2019. Now that percentage is probably a lot higher. Just making an educated guess, it's probably going to be a lot higher in 2020 due to the current climate of the world as well. And that's important to kind of understand when we're setting up an online shop, is that, are there going to be a lot of eyes viewing online shops? And the answer to that is yes, and it's only going to kind of rise as well. And you can also see that Ireland generally has over a 26% more higher average online spend than other European countries. So it seems like it's very much thriving as well, the e-commerce market within Ireland there. So as well as kind of being a booming market of e-commerce, so online shops are doing really well, there's always going to be challenges with any market and industry, and some of the biggest challenges include having strong competition. There's a lot of competition of people who may be selling what you're selling as well online, and in the particular locations that you're looking to target as well. There might be issues with product logistics, and there might also be challenges when it comes to your budget and your time when it comes to marketing and promoting your online shop as well. So in terms of ways of kind of improving in the area of kind of fighting off competition and kind of building a level of customer loyalty, which is something which customer loyalty, the way I like to kind of think about it, is it's difficult to gain that level of trust and loyalty, but it's very easy to lose it. Especially in the online space. So it's important to have excellent customer service. I'm sure you've probably visited various kind of in-person stores or retail stores that you probably go back to again and again because they provide excellent customer service. So if you want to return something, for example, no questions asked to say, yep, that's fine. You go through the process and nice and easy to do. You can also kind of win over people with loyalty through kind of various kind of rewards or loyalty programs as well. I'm sure some of you maybe signed up to various types of cards. When you go either in store or you spend online, you can type in your number or have it linked to your account, so you get certain amount of points per thing that you buy, and eventually that kind of adds up and you can get money off, or you might get a heavy discount, or you might get early access to certain products and items with a special promotion as well. You can also kind of use reviews to kind of strengthen your case of you being somebody who is a trustworthy online shop that people enjoy buying from, essentially. So it's important to kind of get these reviews in, because people buy from people. You might have heard of that term before. People buy from people, and it's no truer than online shoppers, because we do that a lot of the time. I'm sure I'm not the only one that when I buy something from, for example, Amazon or eBay, I end up having a look at kind of the feedback rating or the star rating and the reviews. I'm that guy that goes a little bit extra and actually looks at the reviews and looks at and kind of filters them by the 1-star reviews. So I actually look at what people didn't like. They might have a 4.5 out of 5-star rating, but I always want to see what people didn't like about a particular product before I make an educated decision from myself as well. So people trust other people when it comes to reviews, and especially in kind of the demographic of kind of 18 to 34s. Over 90% of 18 to 34s rely upon looking at reviews to make their purchasing decisions, and that has a huge influence in their decision-making process as well. And you can also consider kind of providing other kind of unique offerings, so maybe early access to special promotions. That's a few things to bear in mind there. Other things to bear in mind is kind of product logistics. So think about kind of your user experience. So how slick and smooth is your online shop going to be? Is it easy for someone to click the word add to basket, then get to the basket, click on the word checkout, get to your checkout, type in your payment details, click buy now, and then you get to an order completed page? Is that a simple and slick process? That's something to kind of evaluate from your end, and that's something which can kind of elevates you from other competitors as well. Another thing to kind of consider is think about kind of delivery times, because 2 in 5 of us as online shoppers, we usually kind of abandon our baskets if the delivery times are way too long. So we want to kind of make sure that we're competitive, and consider what our returns policy is going to be for our online shop, because 60% of us, we actually look at this information. I know I do. I want something to, if I want to return something, especially if I'm buying from a fashion retailer, I don't know what the sizing is going to be when I try it on. Have I put on too many pounds after the holiday break? Then I might think, oh, I need to return that item. Is it easy for me to do? So that's important to kind of understand and look through as well. And then consider kind of your resources when it comes to your time and resources when it comes to kind of marketing or promoting your services. So consider promoting on social media. Social media is a great place because a lot of eyes and attention are on social media platforms. So it's a great way to kind of get your businesses and shop's name out there as well. Consider kind of maybe incorporating a live chat functionality as well. So you can kind of respond quickly to customer queries. Email marketing is a great kind of tool that you can incorporate within the confines of your online shop. So if somebody does leave a page with something in their basket, you can send them a reminder to say, oh, hi Rakesh, you need to check out on this item, just to kind of jog their memory. And you can also utilize advertising, which we'll look at shortly as well. So other kind of e-commerce opportunities that can be born by being online, having an online shop, is that as I mentioned before, there's usually a higher than average spend than you probably would get, I guess, in store, especially in the current climate. Sales can be driven by social media quite a lot. As I mentioned, over 90% of 18 to 34-year-olds are actually kind of driven by what people are saying about certain products through social media means. And one thing to bear in mind when it comes to Irish products, there's there seems to be a huge market, especially in the likes of the UK and the USA, for exporting your products. So that could be a market that you could look at as well. So now that we've had a look briefly at the e-commerce landscape in the in Ireland, we'll now have a look at ways in which we can research our markets. Now, it's important to not skip this stage because there's a great quote which I've read before from a famous writer called Dale Carnegie, who says, 1 hour of planning can save you 10 hours of doing. And that's the way I want you to kind of think about the research stage. So the first step is to actually conduct market research. So you can so this is essentially the process of gathering, analyzing, and interpreting information about a market. So this includes kind of looking at kind of the market trends, looking into customer insights, looking into what your competitors are doing, and then kind of highlighting your unique selling points as well. So when it comes to kind of your market trends, you can use some great tools that are available out there to you. So you can use tools such as the Google Ads Keyword Planner, and you can also use another tool called Google Trends. So both of these tools are available to you at no cost. So you can explore these to see if customers are actually searching for the products or services that you actually sell as well. You can also use YouTube Trends to see what's trending in terms of video content, as well as looking across the social media platforms for trending hashtags, as well as looking at kind of reports based within kind of your industry, and maybe listening to industry experts to see what is kind of trending within your industry and space that you are in as well. So next, you want to also kind of look at and understand who your customer is. So who are my customers? What are the demographics? What's the age range? What's their kind of general location? What are their interests? And why do they want to purchase our product? Now, we can answer some of these questions by maybe looking at the purchase history data that we already have from previous customers. We can also look at social media to find out what people's interests are, using something like Facebook Audience Insights to actually find out that information. And then it really helps us to build a picture about who our ideal types of customers who our ideal types of customers are as well. Then we want to also kind of do a bit of analysis to sort of see what our competitors are doing. So a competitive analysis is a strategy where you identify major competitors and research their products, sales, and marketing strategies. And by doing this, you can actually create solid strategies that improve your business. So it's not a case of you're kind of stealing kind of tools. It's more of a case of looking at what people are doing well. For example, if your competitor has a good presence on Instagram and you've not really jumped onto that platform yet, then that's something which you can maybe jump onto, especially if they're getting a good level of engagement. So maybe they're getting a lot of comments and questions, and more kind of in general, kind of they're kind of getting a bit of a buzz through a particular platform. And you can do this through competitor analysis. So to get started with competitor analysis, you want to kind of pick out probably one of your closest competitors, someone who's kind of more of a like for like, or as much as possible. Visit their online shop, see what they're doing, see what they're all about, and consider how you are different to them, which is important to understand. And when it comes to looking at how you differentiate from your competitors, you want to kind of highlight what your unique selling points and your unique qualities are as an online shop. So what's the specific benefit of customers shopping with you as opposed to shopping with your competitor's shop? As well. So is it maybe the experience that you provide? Is it the fact that you provide an excellent returns policy, that you offer, 0% finance, for example, as well? There's a lot of kind of companies that kind of lead with that, and that's important to do. You want to kind of lead with what your standout quality is as well. So it could even be something like you have a unique product that's out there which nobody else is aware of either, and only you sell it. So that's kind of the big selling factor for people visiting and buying from you as well. Okay, so let's see if there's any questions coming in from you all at the moment. Okay, no questions at the moment. But just kind of scanning through the comments, there's a couple of people just flicking on a message here from Victoria saying currently setting up a Shopify store. Hold that thought a minute. We will be touching upon something like Shopify very shortly as well, because the next element that we're going to be touching upon throughout this session is how we now go about building our online shop. So we've actually we've actually gone through the process of researching. Now, I know that was a little bit of a whistle-stop tour about how we kind of research, but this is something which you can kind of digest and break down into, right, I need to do some market trends, I need to kind of find out information about my customers, and etc., and kind of do some competitor analysis. And then once we've done all of that, we can then look to actually do the practical steps of building our online shop. So in terms of creating our online shop, it's essentially a 3-step process of choosing which platform to be on, which we'll have a look at a few of the options, setting yourself up on that platform, and then hitting that go live button so that your shop is available essentially to the world. Or you can kind of, I guess, sort of reinvent it if you only deliver an island, for example, initially, and then you can kind of scale that out. If maybe the market research shows that you have maybe customers that would be willing to buy from you from the UK, or would be willing to buy from you from the USA, or any other countries around the world as well. So let's have a look at some of these platforms. So the first platform that I want to kind of discuss, which is an option for you, could be a managed e-commerce platform. Now, an example of this is something which Victoria mentioned in the comments, which is a platform called Shopify. Now, you might have kind of heard of Shopify. So this is kind of an all-in-one solution. So from your end, you essentially just buy a domain name, which is kind of your website address, which ends in kind of .ie or .com, whichever it might be. And then you use Shopify to essentially create your online shop. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for everything. So you create kind of your products. It's very low. One of kind of the best points kind of pros of setting up using a managed e-commerce platform is it's very relatively low setup costs, because you're just paying kind of a monthly fee to the likes of a Shopify or to the likes of a BigCommerce, and that's about it. So you can launch very, very quickly. And the great thing is you can also kind of make sure that you get a lot of regular updates. So whenever Shopify updates, you can make sure that your website, your shop in general, is kind of updated as well. Now, kind of some of the drawbacks to choosing this option is the fact that you don't necessarily have that creative and total control over this, because you're kind of heavily reliant upon these managed e-commerce platforms to work for you. So maybe if there's kind of bugs on their end, then it might or generally will have a knock-on effect with your online shop, which you don't know how long it might take to actually resolve as well. Another thing to kind of bear in mind with managed e-commerce platforms is that you might also get kind of limited support if you do run into any sort of issues and challenges. So usually there's kind of like a centralized contact center where you have to sort of contact, and you don't know when you might get a response. So that's kind of a few of the kind of trade-offs with that. And one of the biggest things when it comes to managed e-commerce platforms, such as like Shopify, BigCommerce out there, is that there's generally going to be credit card costs and kind of fees that you would kind of pay per transaction if people are paying by various kind of methods. And also you might potentially have to pay extra fees on sales that you make, which again can sort of eat into your profit margins. So that's something to weigh up before you kind of decide to press the button and go ahead with this particular option. Now, to kind of get started with setting up an managed e-commerce platform, you'd essentially kind of purchase a domain, then you kind of set up with the likes of a Shopify, BigCommerce, get all set up. You then add your products in, customize your shop. Now, in terms of customization, you are a little bit limited by the confines of these managed e-commerce platforms. So you can only choose certain types of themes and designs and coloring, but you can sort of add in obviously your logo as well. And then once you've done all of that design and adding the products in, and I guess adding the products in can take probably the most time depending on the amount of products that you do have. But once you've done that, then it's just a case of going live. So it is relatively simple, but there are a few sort of steps involved in actually getting there involved in actually getting to a point where you do become live as well. So another option to consider is to create a content management system. So what a content management system essentially is, from the purposes of setting up an online shop, is where you actually create a website. So you create a website using something like a Wix or a WordPress, Squarespace, any of the kind of website builders that are out there as well. So you create that, but then what you then layer on top of that is you layer what's known as a website plugin, or basically like an extra little piece of software that kind of layers on top of your website in itself. And this is called a website plugin. So you can add a plugin such as WooCommerce, which is an e-commerce plugin. So you can essentially convert your website into an online shop just by adding that plugin in. Now, kind of the benefit of that is you get full customization and personalization of your website. So if you want to kind of change your theme and use different themes for your shop, then you can do so, especially with something like WordPress, which has thousands of themes. You can even kind of pay somebody to create a theme for you, which is fully tailored and customized for your shop as well. And one of the biggest factors that I like about this option is that you have the ability to grow with your business. So your online shop can grow with at the same level that your business grows. So what I mean by that is if you are extending your product range, for example, you naturally will need to add in extra product pages as well. And with that in mind, if you're maybe using a managed e-commerce platform, then with that, you might need to pay extra in your monthly subscription fee that you pay to these managed e-commerce platforms to is when you are kind of growing and expanding. Whereas when it comes to a content management system of having a website and layering on top of that a website plugin like WooCommerce, you can just grow exponentially and add other products quite easily and quickly as well. You can get good level of support from kind of your web partner, whoever that might be. And the key thing here is that you fully manage it, you fully can customize it, and you kind of have that sense of ownership as well. The kind of trade-offs to this is that it's a little bit more kind of technical and time consuming. So if you don't necessarily have too much time to dedicate to setting all this up, then maybe one of the other two options, and the third option, which I'll explain shortly, might be the way to go for you, or the managed e-commerce platform route as well. So it's generally kind of a little bit more expensive because you're kind of paying for your domain name, but also you're paying for your website hosting. You're also kind of paying for your website maintenance, ongoing costs as well. But then also you're kind of paying in regards to kind of the credit card fees for WooCommerce in terms of kind of the various different payment providers. So you need to kind of consider a lot of kind of the financial aspect to see which one kind of gives you that kind of better kind of profit for margin as well. So in terms of getting started with content management system platform is you purchase a domain. You then need to kind of buy web hosting, kind of either on a yearly basis or for a few years in advance, I guess, if you think that there's going to be longevity within your shop as well. You then buy a security certificate. So that's something which you need to purchase for the purpose of your website in general. So you might have kind of seen websites where there's a little padlock. So you want to obviously make sure that your website is secure. So you want to obviously add that onto your website as well. Then you want to include the e-commerce website plugin. So something like a WooCommerce. And then once you've added that in, then you can add your products in. You can customize and design your website and your online shop part of it as much as you want. And then it's just a case of going live there. And then we've got a final option here, which is a digital marketplace to consider. So a digital marketplace essentially is the likes of an Etsy or the likes of an eBay, because a marketplace, if you think about it, is it's basically a hosting ground whereby you've got sellers like you and I who have an online shop. We're kind of posting products on Etsy, on eBay, for example, and then you've got buyers. So people who are maybe looking to buy Christmas gifts at this time of year, they're visiting these shops, and buyers and sellers are transacting. They are taking part in e-commerce there. And the actual platforms of eBay's, Etsy's, even Amazon's, they're kind of just that middle ground. They're just the meeting space for that. Now, this is a great option for those who maybe have limited or no kind of budget to invest into kind of the previous two options that we looked at. But also kind of the great benefit of setting up your online shop on these platforms, such as an eBay or an Etsy or Facebook, even Facebook Marketplace, is that you kind of improve your chances of visibility online just by having a shop on eBay, because a lot of people have used eBay for a lot of years. So that trust factor has been built with that particular platform in general as well. And you can kind of reach a lot more people. But with kind of the positives, there's always kind of a few drawbacks to each of these options. And the biggest one here is that you don't necessarily set the rules. Because the rules are set by Etsy, the rules are set by eBay. So you don't get any sort of level of input. From your point of view as a seller, you just set up an online shop. Maybe the maximum amount of customization that you can do is maybe add a logo to your shop, your shop entry web page that you have, and that's about it. And then when you list your products, it's got to be in a kind of a formulaic way specifically as well. So that's important to understand. And kind of the biggest kicker is that as well as kind of not having your own kind of your business or a brand to itself, so they know you for having that particular website, you're actually going to be kind of associated with, oh yeah, so Rikesh has a shop called Rikesh's Radiators, but they're based on eBay. So it's always going to be kind of linked to the larger platform, as opposed to kind of having a standalone brand visibility of my own as well. And it's important to understand that there's a commission that's taken. So if you've ever sold something on the likes of an eBay before, like I have, they will take a seller's fee once you've sold, but then there'll also be a fee for PayPal, for kind of them being the payment provider, and kind of transferer essentially as well. So that's another thing to kind of factor in when it comes to which is going to be the most kind of financially viable option for you as well. So now that we've kind of had a look at a few platforms, we want to know that, right, we've kind of chosen our platform, we've set it up, whichever it might be, option 1, 2 or 3, either managed e-commerce platform like Shopify, either setting up a website and layering on top of that an e-commerce plugin like WooCommerce, or setting up an online shop through a digital marketplace such as eBay or Etsy. Now what do we do? What's next? Well, what's next is we actually want to reverse engineer what our customers are doing in order to find us. So we want to actually look and explore our customer journey essentially here. So with that in mind, we actually want to follow this journey through from the customer finding out about our business and jumping onto our website for the first time perhaps and looking at a product, to eventually buying. So we can kind of see that with this approach here on screen. So we've got a process of see, think, do, and care. So we want to kind of explore each one of these processes. So the first port of call for any online customer, essentially, and even us, I guess, so even kind of put yourself into these kind of shoes, is that first of all, we're kind of having a bit of a browse online. This is the awareness stage, where we're trying to kind of just have a bit of browse, see what we're looking for. Okay, I'm looking for a pair of jeans, having a quick browse at a few different retailers. I'm not sure which one to go for. But from your point of view, in this passive phase, you want to make sure that that customer or that audience member is aware that your online shop exists, and they maybe visited it before as well. Then that customer goes into consideration stage. So now they're like, right, okay, yep, I definitely want to buy a pair of jeans here. So let me consider my options that's available. Let me maybe do a little bit of a price kind of comparison. Maybe let me check kind of reviews between certain retailers of this particular item. So from your point of view, you want to make sure that the customer's considering your online shop there. And then once we've kind of gone through that, this is kind of the crucial part, is the kind of the doing stage, or the action stage I like to call, where they're actually purchasing these pair of jeans, for example. Now, from your point of view, you want to make sure that that customer is buying from your online shop there, yeah? And then once that's happened, the journey doesn't stop there, because we want to make sure that this customer is going to buy from us again. We want to kind of cultivate and create that culture of customer loyalty within our business, because that's important, especially in these kind of times where times can be a little bit hard. There's I've kind of spoken to plenty of business owners who have said that they've been able to kind of stay afloat because of customer loyalty, because people are willing to always come back to them. More than anything else as well. So from your point of view, along this journey, when it comes to kind of loyalty, we want to make sure that the customer, when they're looking to buy this product again, that they're going to buy from you, as opposed to maybe look at a competitor, for example, as well. So the one thing to kind of note with a customer journey is that it's rather a complex journey. Now, we can't necessarily expect our customers to buy from us straight away. I mean, in an ideal world, that would be absolutely fantastic, but we don't necessarily do that these days. I'm sure I certainly don't. I'm sure you probably don't. You probably have a look. You probably have a look at the product. Once you've done that, you might do a quick Google search. Then you might kind of have a look at the website again. You might then have a look maybe at social media channels, get some more reviews, have a look if you're a little bit like me, where you might look at you might kind of look at the stage of kind of looking at YouTube reviews and videos, and then you might look at maybe where everyone's based, and then maybe look to purchase and kind of part with your money as well. So that's something to bear in mind there as well. So it's important to kind of understand, how can we kind of make this journey as slick as possible, and how can we market and promote ourselves and show ourselves in the best light throughout each one of these kind of interactions. Each interaction here is known as a touch point. So how are we as an online shop going to be able to kind of how are we going to be able to make sure that we are front and center of their thoughts when they are going through their customer journey? So in terms of kind of marketing your e-commerce store, we want to make sure we've got content out there. So we're trying to sort of entice these customers to visit us. So there's various types of content you can create. So videos, photos, text. It could be a combination of all three of these. And you want to kind of post this content out on a regular basis, especially if you're using social media channels, because I'm sure you're all aware, social media, there's a lot of noise going on. So you have to post often and frequently in order to kind of capture people's attentions. Otherwise, you might get lost in the noise. And you want to be posting content which is going to be of value more than anything else as well. It's got to be valuable to that customer. That's going to entice them in. Now, as well as kind of general content that you create and post out there, you can also incorporate advertising within your marketing and promotional strategy in general as well. So a way that you can do that is maybe run things such as Google shopping ads. So you might have seen kind of these types of ads that will appear along kind of the top. So this is somebody searching for trainers. So you see different, you see product images, as well as you see the name of the product, as well as the number of reviews, as well as the price as well. And then it says buy, and it will tell you which retailer that this is available from as well. So that's something which you can incorporate as part of your wider marketing strategy, especially if you're maybe a new online shop in a particular industry and you want to get your name out there. Advertisements are a great way to kind of get noticed kind of front and center above other competitors as well. So you can also advertise on Google search in general. So you might have seen these kind of Google ads that appear, Google text-based ads that appear. So there's kind of a little kind of bolded word that says ads. So that up to the first 4 search results that you'll see on a search engine results page on Google will be for adverts if they are relevant to what you are searching for. So there'll be up to 4 of them. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't really look too much past kind of the first page. And if your advert appears within the first 4 results, the chance of people visiting you go up dramatically there as well. So you can also kind of advertise through kind of social media ads. So using things such as Instagram advertising and also Facebook advertising, and whichever platform you feel that your customers are visiting and frequenting the most as well. And then you can also advertise on banner-based adverts, advertise with banner-based adverts on other people's websites. So you might have kind of seen, for example, that you've got the Dublin Gazette. So the Dublin Gazette, there's kind of adverts that can appear at the top and along the sides of articles at times, and other kind of local news websites, because that helps to kind of generate income for that particular website, which is handy for them. But from your point of view, you can actually, if you, let's say you're a shop that sells bicycles, then you can maybe promote using banner ads, or the billboards of the internet, like I like to call them. You can actually have these ads appear on websites which are, let's say, blogs about people who enjoy cycling, for example. So as long as it's something kind of relevant, and you can kind of find these various websites which are all kind of part of what's known as the Google Display Network. So you can find websites which are relevant to the products that you are looking to get in front of your ideal type of customers as well. So as well as that, you can also have a look at another great resource which can help you along your journey of improving your online shop, by having a look at Grow My Store. So this is a tool which is available to you at no cost as well, which is part of the Think with Google website. And this essentially gives you kind of a score, and it kind of helps you to see how well you're performing as an online shop. So a few kind of things that Google Grow My Store can actually help you with is it can kind of give you a score based upon how well your online shop experience is currently, and that's compared to what's the cream of the crop, what's the best in class retail experience out there, which Google has deemed based upon kind of their various algorithms. So if you get a low score, don't be disheartened. You may have a really good functioning website, but there might be certain improvements. So you might want to make improvements to your product listings, or to your store details, or you may want to personalize and customize your product pages a little bit more, or maybe provide other options for making payments as well. Other kind of improvements that Grow My Store can include could be the likes of flexible fulfillment, customer service as well. That's a consideration. So do you want to kind of, it might give you recommendations to up your customer service levels, improve kind of security as well for your particular online shop. And it might kind of make recommendations if it feels that your current online shop in its current iteration is not necessarily mobile friendly, because a lot of us kind of shop a lot on our smartphones, because that's the main device that we have on us practically 24/7. I know some people even go to sleep with their phone essentially as well. So that's something to bear in mind. So this is a great resource to tap into for that purpose. So now let's actually finally have a look at how we can measure to see how well we're doing, see how well our online shop is performing. So we're doing all these marketing things, we're putting all this content out, we're making improvements to our online shop and to our product pages, but how do we know everything's working? Well, we can use a tool which is available to you at no cost. And for those of you who tuned in to the first webinar of this series, which was last Monday, which was all about how to get your business visible online, we actually covered how to kind of use a little bit of this platform of Google Analytics. And it's such a powerful tool. And what I recommend, if you have an online shop or you're going to be creating one, try and link your Google Analytics with your website. Now, the way you can do that is by finding your tracking code. So you need to go, once you've created a Google Analytics account, you go into your admin section and then find your property settings and find the section which says add tracking code. So then once you've done that, you can then paste that into a Wix or a WordPress. If you find like a YouTube tutorial just saying add Google Analytics to Wix or add Google Analytics to WordPress, you usually find nice and simple tutorials. Give it a month or give it a few weeks, and then you can start to see data in terms of who is visiting your website there as well. So a few things to bear in mind when you are visiting Google Analytics, you can actually get specific e-commerce reports. So you can actually see what is kind of the number of transactions that you're getting per month, and what's kind of the revenue to conversion rates as well. Now, this is something which you manually have to include. So again, I'm sure Priya will kindly include a couple of links to some great resources on the Google support pages, which can help you kind of get started with incorporating the e-commerce aspect into your Google Analytics account there as well. Now you can also kind of look at kind of the revenue and conversion rates for your channel. So this is what is known as an acquisition report here. And there's lots of different types of reports that give you lots of different types of information on Google Analytics. So this report is known as acquisition report. So where are people visiting your website from? So people are visiting from finding you through organic search, so finding you through Google. People are finding you directly by typing in rikeshsradiators.com or rikeshsradiators.ie, for example. People are finding your website and your online shop through other people's websites, so referrals, or people finding you through social media. So you can actually have a look at what the e-commerce conversion rate is. So how many people who are coming through from social media are actually then making a purchase, because you want to make sure at the end of the day that not only you're getting a lot of people visiting you, but after that you want to make sure they're actually buying from you as well. Now people might be in kind of various points of their customer journey, so they might still be dipping their toe into the water, just making sure that you are a legitimate website and you've got some good reviews and backing behind you as a business there as well. But you can actually have a look to see which are kind of the most profitable avenues for you and maybe increase your efforts. So if social media, you're not getting as many people who are buying from you, improve how you include links, for example, in your posts on social media as well. Another great kind of tool that you can look at from an e-commerce perspective on Google Analytics is you can actually have a look at a conversions report and look at the time lag set of reports here. So you can actually have a look at what is the kind of the average time delay between a customer visiting your product page or visiting your website in general, learning a bit more about you, to then buying from you, or in sales speak, converting. And then you can actually make decisions based off the back of it. Because with Google Analytics, one thing I'd always say is it's all good and well actually looking at these particular, these kind of tools such as Google Analytics, where you see all this data and information, and you think, well, okay, there's lots of people visiting me. They come from different parts of the world. They're kind of different kind of demographics, which is all great. But then you then want to take action off the back of that. So how can you improve your customer journey experience by looking at kind of these time lags, for example, as well? So it's important to actually take that action step after we've looked at this information here. Yeah. So just to kind of recap what we've kind of covered throughout the course of this webinar session. So as well as kind of having a look at the thriving e-commerce market that exists within Ireland, we then kind of had a look at the research process. And as I mentioned before, it's important to research and do all the kind of the legwork before you actually then launch and set up your online shop. So looking at kind of market trends, identifying who your customers are, identifying what your unique selling points are, making sure that you lead with that when you're kind of promoting your online shop as well. We then looked at some of the various platforms that you can consider when you are launching your online shop as well, and how you can go about marketing that as well, because we want to know what to do post launch as well. So how do we get people visiting our online shop as well? And then it's a case of kind of thinking about how we can kind of measure. So looking at platforms such as Google Analytics and seeing how that information and data can help you to maybe improve your marketing efforts, such as improving your social media posts, maybe developing relationships with certain other websites who are driving visitors to your website, perhaps, and you can maybe kind of reciprocate if it's relevant to your to your customers, and it might be beneficial if they sell other products which might be beneficial to your customers. You can kind of strike up that level of relationship at the end of the day. And when it comes to kind of measuring, you always want to make sure that you are getting some level of return on investment. Now, it might take a little bit of time, especially with things such as the time lag conversion report that we looked at. But you want to make sure that time lag is kind of, you're kind of chipping away at it. So you're making that customer journey as slick and as smooth as possible. So that's something to bear in mind when you are kind of setting up your online shop. And I'm sure some of you out there have already sort of set up your online shop. So I hope that this session kind of provides a little bit more context where you might want to kind of go away and review maybe your marketing strategy, maybe have a look and do a bit of a deep dive into your Google Analytics account. And as I mentioned before, if you haven't yet got a Google Analytics account, I'd highly recommend that you link your Google Analytics account to your online online shop, because that will provide you information, but just wait kind of a few weeks or a month or so just for kind of the information and data to kind of come in, because once you've linked it, that's kind of the first port of call of the data kind of being transmitted between the two various platforms there as well. Okay, so let's now have a look at some questions that are coming in from you all. Okay, so we've got a question from Paula, who's asked, any advice on resources for market research reports? I can only find very expensive options. Yeah, for me personally, I'm kind of dubious a little bit always about kind of expensive options. So for me, I always kind of use a variety of resources to do market research, such as the likes of, as I mentioned before, Google Trends. Also look at Google Ads Keyword Planner, which can provide you with information as to what search terms people are typing in on Google for your types of products or services. That can help you when it comes down to the content that you write for your products and generally for your online shop as well. And then also kind of just keep your ear to the ground. That's what I'd say when it comes to maybe follow certain individuals who are kind of well known in particular industries in that regards. And then also kind of just do a general kind of search around and definitely kind of explore the Think with Google website, which can definitely provide you with some more information as to more kind of market research reports as well. And a great kind of tool if you're maybe looking to export into other countries, maybe later down the line or currently, and you're kind of ready to go, have a look at a tool which is available. If you just type in into Google Market Finder, that's a fantastic tool which can kind of walk you through kind of that export journey process. So definitely have a look at that when you do get a moment. But thank you very much for that question, Paula. I've also got a question coming in again. So we've got a question coming in from Junior Adeliki, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, who's asked, I have a domain bought from GoDaddy. However, I think this was the wrong choice. Can I buy my domain from GoDaddy and use it elsewhere? As far as I'm aware, yes. I remember purchasing a domain from GoDaddy a few years ago now, and then I was able to kind of use that for purposes of creating things such as a WordPress website. I did eventually kind of switch to another domain provider, which was actually cheaper through my hosting provider. But in regards to that, I'll just say yes, you can. What I'd sort of say is, if you're not sure about how to then integrate that into maybe Shopify, then maybe just type in use GoDaddy domain for Shopify. And then you'll probably find somebody's kind of created a YouTube tutorial out of it, or kind of got kind of a written step-by-step process. That's the way I kind of learn a lot of stuff, if I'm not too sure. I remember when I was actually trying to incorporate my Google Analytics tracking code into my WordPress website, I didn't know how to do it because it was a little bit different to Wix, which is the website builder that I used previously. So I just typed it in, I found a YouTube tutorial, which is literally a minute or so, and it kind of walked me through the process, and it was nice and simple to do there as well. So that's what I'd probably kind of recommend, because there's lots of different domain providers, and as I'm sure you're probably aware, as well as GoDaddy, there's other ones about. So each and every one of them kind of have the different processes, but they all kind of allow you to then build on top of that domain, because that's the whole purpose of a website address, because then you want to have something when people search for you, essentially there. Thank you for those questions as well. Let's now have a look at your next steps. So next steps wise, you can continue your learning journey online. So if you visit the Google Digital Garage Ireland website, which is on the bottom right of your screen now, which is at g.co/digital garage-ie. And remember to kind of check out that Fundamentals of Digital Marketing course in the online courses section of the website. So and as just a reminder, once you completed that particular course, you'll actually receive a certificate for free from Google, which you can maybe make a note of, and on various kind of profiles and documents such as CVs and LinkedIn profiles. You can even tell people about this fantastic achievement that you received from Google. You can shout about it on social media. If you are going to do that, feel free to use our hashtag of #DigitalGarage, so members of our Google Digital Garage team can see your wonderful achievements. You can also book on to further Google Digital Garage webinar sessions, live webinar sessions such as this. If you have a look at the link which is in the video description of g.co/digital garage webinars-ie, you'll actually see what the next upcoming webinars are and book yourself onto those sessions as well. Now you can also kind of leave us feedback, and both myself and Priya would appreciate a little bit of feedback to let us know what you enjoyed about this webinar session. And once you've completed that feedback form, which is the feedback form link is in the video description as well. Once you've completed that, you'll actually also receive a link to download the PDF document of the slides that we've kind of gone through that can sort of help you along with your journey. And also you can actually rewatch and rewind this webinar session back until tomorrow, as it's going to be live and available until tomorrow. So feel free to kind of make the most of that as well. So apart from that, I want to say a massive thank you to our webinar partner, Irish Black Owned. I'd also like to say a massive thank you to Priya, who I'm sure will agree has been a wonderful chat moderator. So feel free to show your appreciation down below in the live chat. And once again, I want to say thank you very much for joining me this evening for this Google Digital Garage webinar session. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you. Goodbye.